Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to be making something kind of strange. I seem to be drifting towards stuff like that lately. I saw this recipe and it's nothing I've ever tried before, and I thought we have to try this. It's called the Great Canadian Heinz Ketchup Cake. Now I've heard this tastes like carrot cake, but I don't know. We have a little blurb about it here. Now this is a recipe from Heinz. Ketchup in a cake. Created to celebrate Heinz's 100th anniversary in Canada, this show-stopping cake tastes as good as it looks. If you're a fan of carrot cake, you'll want to try this recipe. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to make a ketchup cake. Now, I like ketchup just fine, just like anybody else. Never thought about putting it in a cake. Now that's a new one on me. The ingredients are pretty simple. The most challenging one for me to find was the red food coloring, because you need a lot of red food coloring. You need all-purpose flour, 2 cups of that for the cake. And I have my Baker's Corner all-purpose flour here. This is from Aldi. We're going to be using 2 cups of this flour. You also need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have my little Rumford aluminum-free baking powder here. So we need that. We need 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. And I have my Stone Mill ground cinnamon here. This is from Aldi. So we need that. We need a teaspoon of baking soda. I have my little container of Great Value baking soda here. So we're going to need baking soda as well as baking powder. Don't get those two mixed up. It's 2 totally different things. You're also going to need 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, which I have just a little container of McCormick nutmeg here in this little plastic container. You also need 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And this ginger I got on Amazon. It's from Happy Belly. Apparently that's like an Amazon brand. I don't know. Yes. Yeah, it's distributed by Amazon.com. How about that? Ground ginger. You need 1/2 teaspoon of that. And for the ketchup, you might assume there's a ton of ketchup in this recipe because it's a ketchup cake. There's actually only 1/2 cup of Heinz tomato ketchup. Just 1/2 cup. Which, that's a pretty decent amount. But for the entire cake, it's just 1/2 cup of Heinz ketchup. Now, whenever I make recipes, I always follow the recipe exactly the first time. If I decide to make it again in the future, I can modify it, but I always try to follow the recipe unless there's just an ingredient I can't get for some reason, or there's just some reason why I just can't. I always follow the recipe exactly the first time. Let's see, you also need 1/2 cup of water, and you need 2 whole tablespoons of red food coloring. This was very challenging to find. I ended up actually getting it on Amazon, and I think it was only $1.89. This is a full ounce of red food coloring. They have these size bottles of red food coloring in some of the stores around here, but everybody was out, and I couldn't find it. Of course, as soon as I bought it on Amazon, the very next day I saw it in the grocery store, of course. But it actually ended up being a little bit cheaper to get it on Amazon. I think this was $1.89, and in the store I think it's about maybe $2 or $3. So it was a little bit cheaper to get it on Amazon anyway. But yeah, you need 2 whole tablespoons of red food coloring. So that's a lot. You also need 3/4 cup of butter, softened. Now that's for the cake. We have separate ingredients for the icing. You want to soften your butter. And you also need 1½ cups of packed dark brown sugar. There's light brown and then there's dark brown. This was the only dark brown I could find. This is Dixie Crystals Pure Cane Sugar. And it's dark brown. They had several different kinds of light brown, but this was the only dark brown I could find. So we're going to need 1½ cups packed of this dark brown sugar and 2 eggs. And that's everything we're going to need for the cake. For the icing, you need 6 ounces of brick-style cream cheese, softened. And I have a little packet here of Great Value cream cheese. But do keep in mind that this brick is 8 ounces, so you're not going to need the entire thing. You only need 6 ounces of this cream cheese softened. You need 3/4 of a cup of butter, again, softened. That's like 1.5 sticks of this, I believe, something like that. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I have some Great Value pure vanilla extract, so that's for the icing. And you also need 4 cups of powdered sugar. So I have some Great Value Confectioner's powdered sugar here. And this was one that we had to use in a previous recipe where I was totally out and had this new bag, and I had to open it to get like 1 teaspoon of it, or a tablespoon, like a little bit. I had to open the bag just for that little bit. So we should have more than enough in here to do the icing for this cake. So that is everything we're going to need to make our ketchup cake. And then the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And next, we're going to go ahead and prepare the pans before we get into mixing all of the ingredients for the cake. So let's get started on that. Alright, I have my 2 pans here. I put my little silicone non-slip mat under here just so I can measure my parchment paper. And I have this Reynolds Kitchens parchment paper. And we need to cut 2 pieces. We need it to just line the bottom of these pans. These pans are going to be greased, but we also have to place a piece of parchment paper down in the bottom, just right here. So I'm going to measure out this paper to fit in there. I've cut my 2 pieces of parchment paper. Let's see. See right here, you can see on there 9 inches. I may just measure. I thought about just putting it under here and measuring around it with a pencil, but I could just use this right here. Let's see. I'll take my parchment paper and fold it out like that. I'll take my pencil, 9 inches. I just wonder how exact these pans are. I'm just going around it with a pencil. Okay. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that out. I have cut my first circle. I was afraid of that. It's a little bit too big. I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. Okay, I've now trimmed it by about a 1/2 inch all the way around. That's much better. So we do have to grease the pan before we add this. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in there. This is just vegetable oil. Just take my paper towel and spread it around. Now get it up on the sides too. Okay. And I'll place this back in there. There. So that first pan is ready. I have my second piece of parchment paper. Now I'm going to go around here about 8.5. So I'm going to go between 8 and 9. I don't think it matters if it's not perfect. Okay, so that's basically 8.5 inches. And I'm just going to go cut around it. Okay. I don't think there's going to be a problem, but let's go ahead and check it. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So we'll take it out and then we're going to grease this pan. And again, I'm just going to add a little bit of vegetable oil. Take my paper towel, just wipe it around in there, making sure to get up on the sides. Just like that. And then we're going to place our parchment paper down inside the greased pan. Just like that. Okay, now that we have our pans prepared, got our nice little pans all ready to go, we can go ahead and start on mixing the ingredients. Okay, next we're going to start blending our ingredients together and mixing everything. But of course, first I always want to show you my bowls. Look how pretty they are. It's a set of 4 bowls, and they kind of just nest together. You have orange, green, blue, and kind of a pinkish color. They're really pretty, and they have like little flecks in them. These are from Zak Designs, Z-A-K. I got these at an antique store, but they're not antiques, but I just thought they were pretty. All right, so I think we're going to use the orange one to mix everything, but first we have to do 2 separate mixtures, and for that I think we will use the green and the blue bowls. I don't know, this one might actually work for one of them. So I don't need the orange one right now. I'll start with the green one. Now in this bowl, I'm going to add the flour. We have our flour here, that's a lot. The flour goes in there. And then we're going to add our baking powder right here. There's that. Our cinnamon. Here's our cinnamon. I think this is going to be a really interesting cake. Baking soda. Here. Baking soda, nutmeg. There's the nutmeg. And finally the ginger. There's our ginger right there. And I'm going to whisk all of that together. All I can smell is the ketchup. I have it right over there. It smells so strong. Okay. So there's that mixture. Now in a separate bowl, we're going to mix some more ingredients. Let's go ahead and I'll just go ahead and use this one. Okay, for our next mixture, we're going to add the ketchup. So we have our ketchup here. We'll put that in there. Ketchup and our water. And the next step is a food color. I'm going to be very careful with that. That's 2 tablespoons of red food coloring. It's kind of sticking to the glass. Okay. I'm going to be very careful mixing this together. This is our ketchup, water, and food coloring. That Food coloring will eat up the whole world. Okay. Now we're going to set that mixture. We're going to set that mixture aside. Now in the next step, we're going to need a large bowl. We're going to beat together the butter and the sugar in a large bowl until smooth. So I'm going to try this, and hopefully this will be big enough. We have our dark brown sugar here. So I have my softened butter. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Now this has to be beaten together. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and just get my electric mixer, and I'm going to mix all this together. Okay, so here is how it looks after I beat in the butter into the brown sugar. And now we're going to add our 2 eggs. Bloop, bloop. Just like that. And then I'm going to use my mixer and I'm going to mix in the eggs. Alright, now we have beat in the eggs. Definitely changed the texture of that. Boop. Now we're going to add in the flour mixture and the ketchup, water, and red food coloring mixture to it. And we'll see how it turns out. Okay, well, it is certainly red. Look at that. My goodness, it is red. It was very easy to mix. Super easy. I didn't even really need my electric mixer. I mean, I could have very easily done it by hand. It was super easy to mix. Now, I have to admit, to me, it smells kind of weird. I'm not fond of the way it smells. Because like right now, all I can smell is the ketchup. But I have to admit, I know you're not supposed to, but I licked the beater, and it does taste like carrot cake. And I know it's the spices and stuff in it, or I think that's what it is. So now we have to divide this batter roughly in half and fill our little pans. I'm not very good at this step. I could just scoop it out. It's quite thick. Look at that. I'm just eyeballing it. Let's see how I can do with that. I don't know why, but it looks like something that should go on top of a meatloaf. To me. It does. Just the color, I guess, and the fact that it smells like ketchup. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know how much this is going to raise. You know, I don't know how much it's going to rise up in the oven, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay. I'm going to put some in the other pan. We'll see how that looks. see if I can get a little bit more in here. This is the first one again. Oh, the ketchup smell is so strong. I mean, it's really messing with my mind. Like, how does it smell like that and taste like carrot cake? It really did, because I already cheated. Like I said, I tasted the batter on the beaters when I was done with them. I had to. I couldn't resist. Okay. I'm trying to get them evened out. Right. Now here we have our two little pans. Now we're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, or until the center springs back when touched lightly. And then we have to let them cool. Let's see how they turn out. Oh, didn't they turn out pretty? Look at them. I love that beautiful dark red color. Now I know the instructions said to just do it until it springs in the middle, but I went ahead and did the toothpick method and made sure it just came out clean, and it did. I just tested that one. They're really pretty. Look at that. Now we have to let these cool for a little bit before we can flip them over onto the rack. But while they're cooling, we will go ahead and start preparing the icing. Our first step for the icing is to beat together the cream cheese, the butter, and the vanilla. So I have my 6 ounces of cream cheese in here. I'm going to add my butter to it. It's softened. That's the cream cheese and the butter and the vanilla. So we're going to combine all this. We're going to beat this together, and then we'll start adding the sugar to it. Now this is the combination of the cream cheese and the butter and the vanilla. Looks nice. Has a nice consistency to it. So next I have to gradually add in 4 cups of powdered sugar. Very, very gradually. So I'm going to go ahead and combine this with this, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like after that. Well, that wasn't too bad. It turned out really nice. What I did was I gradually added in the powdered sugar, and I mixed as much of it by hand as I could. And then just after I incorporated the powdered sugar, I just went ahead and used the mixer to make it nice and fluffy like this. It's very nice. So now I think the cakes are about ready to be flipped out onto the mesh, or not the mesh, but the little wire. Okay. Unfortunately, this is the only cooling rack I currently have. It's not quite big enough for both of these cakes. I may have to do one and then do the other one separately. I don't know. But, all right. I may try it like this, like put the rack on top of it like that. And then like flip it. I always get nervous when I have to do this. I don't know why. I heard movement in the pan. Look at that. Now, I imagine it's important to remember to remove this. They didn't actually say to remove it. Make sure you take the paper off. There's this one sandwich video where I accidentally left a little square of paper on a piece of cheese. I made that video like 3 years ago. People still comment on that. Okay, it was removed before the sandwich was eaten. I caught it, but I don't show in the video that I took it off, but I did. Okay, look at that. Very nice. I'm going to let this cool for a little bit, and then we will flip the other one over onto the rack as well. Okay, we have allowed this cake to cool now, this piece. I'm going to put it on here. I don't really have a decent cake plate or anything. I'm just going to put it on here. Just lift it. Set it on there like that. All right. Now we need to transfer this section. I'm going to try to do it the same way. I'll just turn the rack upside down, place it on top, like that, and then just flip it over. Just like that. Very nice. Oh, that looks nice. Now, while this one cools, I think we can go ahead and start icing the first section. Go ahead and bring that back over. And I have my big bucket of icing here. Okay. I have not iced a cake in a very long time. I've never been particularly good at it, so if unprofessional cake icing bothers you, you might want to skip this part because I'm not a professional and I never aspired to be, so that's okay. I don't think I want a ton of icing in this middle part here. I don't know. I have to say the smell of this cake is very interesting. You can definitely smell the ketchup. Yeah, but you can smell the other stuff too, like the nutmeg and the cinnamon stuff. So it's an interesting combination of scents, I guess. I don't know how I feel about it. The ketchup smell is kind of throwing me off a little bit. I don't know how I feel about that ketchup smell being so strong. I'm not super worried about the size right now. I'm putting a little bit on there, but I'm not super duper worried about it. I'm always afraid I'm not going to have enough icing. So I skimp on it initially because I'm just afraid I'll run out. I did put a little bit around the sides, just a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to leave this now, and once the other layer has cooled, we will go ahead and add that and finish icing our cake. Okay, I have now allowed the other section to cool. Isn't it pretty? Look at it. From here it looks like I took a big Oreo cookie apart. Here's a cookie in the filling. Okay, just center that on there. Ice away. My hands are clean. I did wash my hands. It's sliding. Oh boy, I can't wait to try this cake. I think this is going to be really interesting. I don't know that I can get used to that ketchup smell. It's kind of like the pickle cupcakes. Like it's blowing my mind a little bit. It's sweet, but it has this other flavor that my mind is just saying shouldn't be there. Like, why does it also taste like this? Okay, I'm going to start trying to go around the sides. Don't look at it too closely. It will physically pain you if you're a cake decorator or a baker or whatever. Don't look at it. Just look away. The sides to me are always the hardest part. I had a lot of icing left over. Trying to make sure I cover the sides and the corners, all the little edges, because I certainly have enough to do that. Okay. Okay, there we have our ketchup cake. Oh my goodness, what in the world have we done? So now we get to taste it. Okay, we have our cake all done. Look at this. Now ignore the icing job. I'm not a professional. As I've said, if you need to file a patent application, I can help you. If you want to bake a cake, ask somebody else. But look, this is our ketchup cake. And to look at it from the outside, I mean, you wouldn't know what the heck kind of cake this is. This could be anything. I really like this cream cheese icing. This is one of my favorite kinds of icings. I think they go with just about any kind of cake, really. It smells like it's still, you can still smell the ketchup smell, but you also smell, like I said, you know, the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the ginger. So it's kind of a combination of all that. It's really interesting. Plus you also smell the icing too. So, but yeah, that's interesting. So I'm going to cut into this and we're going to try a piece of this cake. I'm a little nervous. I don't know why. I don't know how to feel about this cake. I don't want a big piece of it, but let's see what we can get out of here. I don't know if I can eat all this. Okay. Oh, isn't it pretty? I got icing on me. Oh, look at that. Ooh. It looks like red velvet cake. It really does. Wow. The color is beautiful. Oh, I love the color. It's gorgeous. Now, if you smell it right here, I don't really smell the ketchup so much. That's interesting. Mainly what I smell is nutmeg and cinnamon. That's the main two things. Look at that. Wow. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it. I want to try it with a little bit of icing first. That tastes like carrot cake. There's a crow outside. He agrees with me. It tastes like carrot cake. It really does. You don't really taste the ketchup so much. Carrot cake. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love the color of it. The color is just gorgeous. All that red food coloring, man, it really paid off. It's very pretty. It's very pretty to look at. I'm going to try some without the icing. That's really nice. It has a light, kind of a fluffy texture to it. It's really good. It's not like a super heavy, dense cake. It's very light. It's not dry though. It's not dry at all. I like it. I do. But I like it because it tastes like carrot cake. I mean, you could just as easily eat carrot cake. But if you like carrot cake and you don't have any carrots, but you have some ketchup and a whole bunch of food coloring, of course you could make it without the food coloring if you wanted to. I'm just thinking, what color would it be if you made it without all that red food coloring? Thinking of the ingredients in it, because you have that dark brown sugar and the ketchup, I'm thinking it would be like a weird kind of a brownish color, a reddish brownish color. I don't know, maybe the color would just not be as appealing. I honestly don't know. But yeah, I like the red. I really do. I think it's really pretty. See? Yeah, that's all right. It's a bit rich though. You have all that brown sugar, and then you have the icing too. It's a bit rich. I don't think I can eat really anymore, because I may have sampled the icing a little bit before I came in here, so I'm kind of full. But yeah, look at it. It's so pretty. I have the icing here, and I didn't put a lot in the middle, as you saw. I just did a thin layer in the middle. I could have actually done more because I had plenty of icing left over. It's really good. It's really good. I'm surprised. I was kind of like the pickle cupcakes. I was prepared to not like it, especially when I started mixing all the ingredients together and it smelled kind of weird. I thought it smelled kind of funky. I wasn't really fond of the way it smelled at first, but yes, it's if you like carrot cake, I bet you would like this. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Yeah, and it wasn't hard. I mean, it was very simple. Simple little steps for this. Quite a few ingredients, but not too bad. Yeah, so it's awesome. My little ketchup cake. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see the ketchup cake come into being. I hope you have a wonderful day. Gumby and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again really soon.